So as everybody's coming in, I would love to hear from you guys in the chat box where you're located and what brings you here today.
So the chat box.
Mhm. It'll be on your, at the bottom where it says chat. Cool. Yeah, what brings you to a workshop about self-love? Apart from the obvious answer. Thank you, Krista. Oh, yeah. Always good to learn more about self-love and get new tools. So far we've got people from Mumbai, Sydney, Melbourne. Yes, Alice, coming in on a Saturday is always good. It's a nice way to start off your weekend. Oh, yes. Thank you, Jackie. Got more people joining in. Just let them in. It really is a life skill, and one that I wish that we were taught in high school, to be honest. But this is why I do what I do, and that's why I'm always harping on about self-love. I think if I was a high school teacher, I remember when I was younger, I used to actually play like a game called Teacher Teacher. I used to have a whiteboard and I used to just write notes for my students and pretend I had a class full of people. And obviously there was no one in the room. And I used to just teach random things and make cutouts and printouts for everybody. It's quite fun. Yes, Sandra, it is about, I love that you're into self-development as well. Hi, Tennessee, welcome. Hey, Jill. Are you driving, Jill? All right. Jill's in Portland. And I also want to introduce to you Rachel, who I'm just going to ask to come on. She is my assistant and she's also in Portland. You are, right?
Rachel.
Yeah.
It's true. I'm in Portland. My name is Rachel. Super happy to be here. If you're having any issues or questions throughout the session today and you want to send them privately to somebody, feel free to message them directly to me and I can filter them over to Sanya if necessary. Yeah, I'm here to help if you need anything.
Thanks, Rach. Rach has been amazing throughout this entire process. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you for coming and supporting me. Yes, you are on a massive journey, Alejandra. Okay, you know what? I think I'm going to get started and I'll just let other people just trickle in. So what I think we should do is let's just take a breath and really settle into this moment and arrive into the workshop. Obviously, a lot would have happened prior, could be during the week, could be this morning, and we've got a whole weekend ahead of us. But right now you have dedicated to be here at this workshop today with me. And so we want to get really present and arrive fully into this. And this is how you're going to get the most out of it, is if you're present and not thinking about other things throughout this workshop. So I invite you to just close your eyes wherever you are. If you're driving, please don't do that. Close your eyes, feet planted on the floor, and just take a few deep breaths with me. I know I need this as well. So, and I ask you to use your voice to really let out an audible sigh that really helps calm the nervous system when we have that audibility. Be as extravagant as you want with these sighs. And while you're in your seat, I invite you to just picture roots coming out the bottoms of your feet that are going directly into Mother Earth, grounding you into this moment. And just picture yourself fully arriving. This is it. This is the moment that we want to be at right now. It is such a huge privilege for me to have you here. And the prayer that I have from the universe is that I'm able to deliver to you the exact transmission that you need to hear today in order to cultivate self-love and to hopefully have this workshop be a catalyst for growth and development for you, so you can head into the direction of being self-appreciative, self-loving, and kind to yourself, especially when things don't go according to plan in your life. On your next breath in and out, I invite you to come back into the room so that we can get started. So I am going to be sharing my screen with you all so that you can be taught about the 6 steps to self-love that I've been preparing for you. You will see a little window of me on the side, and I do want this to be interactive. So I will be asking you lots of questions, and I might ask you guys to unmute yourself throughout as well, so that we can hear from everybody here today. I will be probably having an interactive element in this workshop at some point during the workshop as well. Might be towards the end, because I love to hear from each person personally as well. And I think it just helps us connect with each other on a deeper level rather than not interact with each other and just see little windows. And I don't think most of you know each other, but a lot of you actually already my clients. So thank you for being here. And it's so nice to have a community of wonderful women who are on this path with me. So I shall begin. So, is everybody able to see the screen? And if you're not, please unmute yourself and let me know, because I won't be able to hear you otherwise. Cool, yep, thumbs up, that's really helpful. And feel free to use the chat box for any interactions so that we're aware. So welcome to the 6 steps of self-love, everybody. Oh my God, I'm so excited to have you all here with me today. I have been preparing for this workshop probably for the last couple of months, even before I decided to do this workshop. I was like, I think I know what I want to be teaching in the next one. And this is honestly based on my experience with all of you. It's noticing things that, and in myself, I'm the biggest mirror of teaching for myself. And I look at myself and I'm like, oh, how can I be more self-loving? What are the parts that I struggle with? What are the parts that my clients struggle with? My friends struggle with? It's like all of us collectively as women, what are we finding the most challenging right now when it comes to self-love? And how do we simplify this further? So my promise to you today is that I will provide as much value as I can in the next 19 minutes. I'm very generous, and I hope to simplify things for you rather than overwhelm you in any way. So everything I teach is going to be things that I live and practice daily, and so do my clients. Everything I teach is rooted in experience and results, and you are safe. The biggest thing that I like to do, and the most important thing that I like to do, is create a really loving and nurturing space so that you can explore your relationship with yourself. And I want you to know that all of you is welcome here. Like, even if you have a part of you that's like, why am I here? That part is welcome. If there's a part of you that's like, I'm so stressed right now, I'm going through something, with a romantic relationship or friendship or with my parents, I have fear, I've had anxiety, it is all welcome here. Nothing over here is unwelcome or bad or unwanted. So that's what I want you to know. What I ask in return is that you engage and participate as much as you're able to. You take ample notes to begin to embody your learnings. You stay present in the now, remove all distractions for the next 90 minutes. And if that means, go and close your door, grab a glass of water, ask anyone in the house to just leave you alone for the next 90 minutes, turn your phone off. I just would like you to be present with me today. This is how you're going to get the most out of it. And if you have any insights that come through that you're like, that was really mind blowing, take a photo of the screenshot of the screen I've got here, or write them side down and tag me on Instagram. I would love to hear from you and share those with the community as well. So what's in store today? My journey into self-love. I'm going to tell you, if you don't know a little bit about me, obviously there's going to be people here that I haven't worked with me before and come across my teachings before. So I want to show you a snippet of my journey. I want to talk to you about what self-love is, the introduction to the 6 steps of self-love, an invitation to an exclusive women's only group container where you'll be personally held and supported as you learn to love and accept yourself unconditionally. So our workshop will give us a space to dive into some of the main elements of self-love, but it is our responsibility after this workshop to go and actually live into these experiences and to hold ourselves accountable. And this is where the invitation is really important, because I've been to a lot of workshops where I get to kind of go and have an awesome experience, but I feel like I'm kind of by myself after that, because I have to go back to my life and sometimes I have no idea how to integrate that. So this is where I've created something for you that will allow you to just step into it and really just go, all right, now I can just be held and learn this. Sanya's got me. I also noticed a typo. I'm sorry if there's typos throughout this and you're pedantic about them. I've just noticed one. Guided meditation to integrate at the end, a special gift and Q&A and a chance to connect. So this workshop is going to be 90 minutes, but at the end of that 90 minutes, you are welcome to stick around and actually talk to me, ask questions, and yeah, receive any guidance on anything that's going on for you. That's something a little special that I'd like to add at the end. So who am I? My name is Sanya Minocha. I'm a holistic coach, holistic counselor, and a self-love advocate. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what that means. That last bit is one that I've assigned to myself, being an advocate for self-love. Literally for the rest of my life, I'm going to be holding a flag that's like, love yourself, because it has been the most fulfilling part of my life so far. So, sorry, it's not pressing next. There we go. So my expertise, what am I good at? My expertise lies in creating safe and nurturing containers for women to explore and transform their relationships to themselves. So we all have come into this life with an identity, which is our name. And a lot of our childhood conditioning has impacted the way that we have shown up as adults today. So we come from a certain family, we have certain habits and behaviors. This space that I create in the work that I do is about unpacking who you are and actually just going, is who I am what I have chosen, or is it what's been handed down to me? So I teach my clients how to be self-honoring, accepting, and loving towards every single aspect of themselves. I'm talking everything. Nothing is unwanted or unwelcome. I use a blend of holistic approaches, and I help them build unwavering self-love and uncover their authenticity. I teach them how to cultivate self-trust, tune into that feminine inner knowing that we all actually have, that intuition, so that they can feel safe in expressing their needs and become their own source of validation. I work privately and in groups with my clients, and I work together as a process of self-discovery. So it's really a process of discovering, who am I? Who am I if I was to take away this title of mother, daughter, sister, wife? Who am I? What is that person underneath? And how can I be loving to that person? And everything that I do is centered around helping women cultivate self-love and live their lives from a place of wholeness. My philosophy: you're not broken. A lot of people who come to these workshops and gravitate towards self-love have the dialogue of, I'm not good enough. There's something in me that's there's something wrong with me maybe. And I mean, just by a show of hands, I'd love to know who has had that thought before, that I don't know. Is there something going on? Like, is it just me? Like, what's happening? So we all have had this before, and honestly, my philosophy is that we're not broken, but the society's conditioning and programming that we have been um, influenced by has actually caused us to have these thoughts inside of our heads. And because we're actually born whole and complete. So think about it. We didn't come to this world thinking I'm not good enough. A baby is not thinking I'm not good enough. A baby is whole, she's complete, and she's just walking about doing her thing, being who she is unapologetically. But at some point, we get disconnected from that innocence, from that playfulness, from that loving part of us who just doesn't really care about what other people think and is just easily expressing when she's hungry and when she's thirsty and when she needs to play. We disconnect from that because societal programming and conditioning influences us so deeply and convinces us that who we are as we are is not enough. You know, we tie in our sense of well-being into what we can do. You know, it's our job, it's who we can be for other people. It's the kind of mother that we are, the kind of wife that we are. That's really what we tie in our worth and our love into. And that's not correct. I've noticed that that's actually extremely skewed. And so our work as women now as adults is to basically undo what has been done and unlearn what's been done um, in a really effective way, but also in a fun way. You know, I like to make self-love fun because it doesn't always have to be like heavy and dense and, you know, trauma can be like that. But I think from a lot of you who've done work with me one-on-one, you know that you always end up feeling quite light after the processes that we do. It's not like a, oh my God, I'm just like done for the rest of the day. It's like, whoa, I feel anew now. So my gifts lie in teaching women how to unpack these old narratives that we've learned and reclaim their place in the world as a sovereign and radiant being who feels worthy of goodness. That's really why we're all here. It's all that delicious stuff. So I want to tell you a little bit about my story. That little cutie on the right is me. As you can see, I was innocent, I was love, I was, you know, just being me, but you and I are not that different. You know, when we were young, we were all really free and we were all really unafraid of loving ourselves. And we didn't really even know the concept of loving ourselves. We would just love. It wasn't like I'm going to sit and try and love myself. That really wasn't learned. The reason we know that now is because there was a process of unloving behavior that we practice, that we learned, that now brings us to a point where we're like, actually, I think it's time to love the person in front of the mirror because guess what? I am kind of stuck with her for the rest of my life. Like there's nothing I can do about this. So I may as well learn to love that person. And it's okay if that's where you start off. That's where I started off, but now I'm able to really see the value in who I am. I'm not like, oh my God, I may as well love myself because I'm stuck with me, but it's more like, holy shit, I get to love myself. I get to really value, I get to really recognize my unique gifts. But that's not where I started. I grew up with low self-esteem, really low self-esteem and low self-worth. I had no idea what I liked and disliked. Like even as a child, I really wasn't quite sure. I was regularly people pleasing my parents and everyone around me. I was a martyr. I had no idea how to express my needs and desires, and I was completely disconnected from my body. I was living life on autopilot. I grew up in a household where emotions were not really validated or accepted by my caregivers. So whenever I showed an emotion, it wasn't like, oh, it's okay, you know, it's okay to feel that way. It was kind of the opposite of that. It was very much a, Sanya, don't be so sensitive, you know, don't be such a crybaby. You're always crying. So there was a lot of shame around my emotions. Mm. Interesting. I'm kind of like choking up right now. I've been talking about it. It's pretty hard. And it kind of shaped me. And it made it meant that I did not grow up knowing who I really was, because when you're always doing things for other people, you kind of become mirrors of your parents or your caregivers. You kind of be who they need you to be. And then you lose touch with who you really are. So that's really what I went through. I didn't really know who I was. So I was kind of going on this path where I didn't really know who I was, and I was living for others. It very much felt like I was living for others. And I constantly distracted myself from feeling pain. So I don't know if how many of you have done this, but I used to work in advertising, which is a really, really busy career. I used to distract myself through like shopping and traveling and, you know, going out drinking and clubbing. And that was my way of just coping. I was always busy because I didn't want to just sit down and be still and be like, oh my God, how am I actually feeling today? Like that was out of the question for me to experience. Then life just slapped me. Like literally I got a slap. I had an intense accident when I was traveling in New York and I fell on my tailbone, like that part right at the bottom of your spine. I just like landed on it, and I landed on it repeatedly. I fell down the stairs, and that completely changed the trajectory of my life. It was such a life-changing experience because I was in so much excruciating pain that, you know, when you have physical pain, I don't know how many of you've noticed this, but you're kind of like if you're bedridden or you have a pain, like you have nowhere to go, right? Even when you have the flu, you're kind of with yourself. So when I was in so much pain, I couldn't really move and I had no option but to look at the relationship I had with myself. Like it got to a point where when you're avoiding things so much, the universe will just go, whoop, that is not the path you're meant to be on. That is not what you're here for, Sanya. Like you cannot keep avoiding who you are, because by avoiding the stuff that that you dislike about yourself and that you're not ready to look at, you're also avoiding the good stuff. You're avoiding the love, you're avoiding the happiness, because they come together. So I was like, I had to look at it. I had to address it. And I had two choices. Number one, continue as I always have. So go back to the same old ways. And I did that, to be honest. I did that for like 3 years. Can you imagine? I was 3 years of like almost neglecting my pain because I was like, I'm not going to face this stuff. I don't want to face it. I don't know what this means. Or do something different. And, you know, I knew that doing something different would mean facing what I'd been avoiding. But I knew that if I go for number two, that something could change and I could always go back to number one, right? I always could play it safe. That's possible. I could stay where I needed to be because, you know, that's what I was used to. So I really had nothing to lose at that point. Then this is when it was a really defining moment for me. I even remember, as I said, I used to work in advertising. I was in account management, and one of my really close friends, she bought me an assessment. It was like one of those assessments where you can gauge whether a person has depression. So she bought this form to me and she was like, Sanya, I think you should fill this out and just do it. And I was like, okay, whatever. Filled it out. And it was so blatantly obvious to me that I was depressed and that, yeah, I had, you know, thoughts of not wanting to be here. I wasn't suicidal, but I had thoughts of like, why am I alive? I didn't understand why I was alive. Like, am I just here to feel pain? Like, what the fuck is the point of this, right? And so I was basically looking at this thing and I filled out this form. And I think at that moment I decided that this really can't get any worse. Like, I have to do something different. I really can't keep going like this. And that's when I decided to start working with a therapist. And that was really amazing because it started to put the wheels in motion. It was almost like as soon as I took different action, even the act of like working with somebody, that then was a cycle that fed into learning how to process my emotions, meditate, speak more openly to my parents, notice the mask that I was wearing, notice like when I was being really inauthentic to people. And I started to set up boundaries, build safety, connect with my inner child, you know, all that delicious stuff that basically I'm teaching you guys to do now. And I started to get very, very honest with myself about everything. And for the first time in my life, I went, wow, actually, how could you have been so horrible to yourself, Sanya? You actually are quite awesome. And that was kind of a really, really big turning point for me. And it sounds really cheesy. I put a little phoenix there because this fall was my rising. Like, it has been the greatest gift of my entire life. Chronic pain has been the greatest gift of my entire life, because if I didn't have it, I really wouldn't be here today. I really wouldn't be so passionate about self-love, and really wouldn't be teaching this with like, I wouldn't be teaching it with the integrity that I am today, because I've had to go through it. You know, I've had to kind of encounter everything, and I'm still encountering so much of it. It's a process. But it really was a rising. It was quite amazing. So what drives me is that when I recognized all the ways that I was being unloving towards myself and I decided to do things differently, everything started to change. And working with a professional helped me get honest about my childhood wounds, my behaviors, and habits that caused me to remain stuck in where I was. And yeah, the biggest distinction was I decided to focus on my relationship to myself because, as you guys know, we're constantly in relationship to everything and everyone. We're in relationship to our food, we're in relationship to our work, to people, to the planet. Um, so I knew that by looking at the relationship I had to myself, that I know that that would be a foundational catalyst in changing my relationship to everything around me as well. And that's literally what started happening. My environment started to change, my career started to change. I'll tell you a bit more about that now. So the transformation from low self-esteem to self-love has been so significant that because at that point I didn't have the kind of support that I needed, I decided that because of everything I'm going through, I am going to dedicate my life to helping women just like yourself experience the magic of this medicine. Self-love is medicine to me. It's the best medicine. It's not a magic pill. It's not a psychedelic. It's not a drug. It's not a video that you watch or a podcast that you listen to. It is an active practice that you have towards yourself, and it is medicine towards yourself, towards your body, mind, and soul. Learning radical self-love helped me redefine my relationship to myself. And if you ask me why I'm here, this is exactly what I'm here to do with you guys. I want to help you experience the same. Over the last 4 years, I've had the honor and privilege of holding space for and guiding many individuals form deep love and appreciation for themselves. And every journey has been unique, but I've noticed that the outcomes and results have been quite consistent. And that's really cool because at the beginning, I didn't really know what that would be, but I think over the years, I've looked at what those things are, and that's really cool because I was able to really put them down. And a lot of you have helped me come up with these actually from feedback from yourselves. So whoever has committed to this path of self-love and actually making a decision to use this loving balm of self-love and this medicine towards themselves, they've experienced a greater sense of belonging in this world, a significant shift in the way you see and treat yourself. They've developed compassion, kindness, and care, built self-trust, a significant increase in self-esteem, more fulfillment in all areas of your life. You can expect that you'll have a deeper understanding of the way the universe works and your purpose in it. This was a big one for me. I was like, why am I here? Showing up more authentically in our lives and building deeper connections with like-minded souls, seeing our true value and worth beyond what we can do for others. As women, I think a lot of us have identified with our roles a lot of, mother, sister, daughter, girlfriend, partner, and to see our value beyond that is quite amazing. It's literally the gist of this work. And an understanding of our emotions and how to take care of us. We are females. We actually have males and females both have emotions, obviously, but females have a really natural ability more than males to be able to connect with this energy. And it's because of the environment we've grown up in and also the inbuilt feminine essence that we carry. We have this ability to be more nurturing. And so to turn that lens inwards and to direct that towards ourselves is very rewarding. And obviously radical self-love and self-acceptance is big. Out of these, I'd be curious to know which one of these are you guys most wanting in your life right now? If you could just tell me in the chat box. Yep, shift in the way you see and treat yourself, building self-trust, more fulfillment. Radical love and acceptance, show up more authentically, compassion and kindness, how to understand your emotions. Yeah, all of them. Tell me about it. Seeing your true value and worth, deep understanding to shop with more authenticity. Your fulfillment. Yeah, these things are so amazing, right? They're just like, they give me warm fuzzies to be able to experience these things. Thank you for sharing, everybody. It's awesome. So, why am I running this workshop? So, as I said, I'm running this because I want to give you guys access to what I never had at the start of my journey. Insightful information that actually addresses the root cause of all of our issues in life. This was such a big issue for me when I was, focused on healing, because nobody would help me work out the root cause, and it took so many different professionals and different avenues to find that. It all starts in my relationship to myself, which is kind of cool in a way because of the journey I went through. I'm now able to teach this work and kind of help you guys, well, not prevent, but help you get there faster, essentially. Teaching is based on lived experience. Nothing here is, just read in a book. I live it, I practice it, and I have gone through it. There's no fluff. Permission to feel worthy of support from myself and others in the same boat as you. So as I said, a lot of us are very good at reading that Instagram post, listening to that podcast, watching that movie, that YouTube video, reading a book, but you actually need to put this into practice. This is where the magic happens. And those of you who are already doing that, that's amazing. Those of you who are yet to do that, this is to inspire you to actually start doing that. This is what my hope is for you, that this is a catalyst for you to do that. So this is also to give you access to a container that I've created where you can actually live and breathe these things, self-love, and receive support as you transform into that person. So you can just come in and be like, oh my God, I can just be held. Thank you. And to give you a taste of what life looks like when you commit to the path of self-love. My intention to introduce the 6 key steps of self-love I live and practice regularly, to simplify self-love into easy, bite-sized chunks so you can build a long-lasting and sustainable self-love practice, and to inspire you to make a commitment to loving yourself in the way you've always sought from others. These are a few various intentions, so whatever you walk away with is going to be a win. But mainly, if you've been confused about what self-love actually is, and there's a lot of mixed stuff out there because it's such a buzzword, this is here to make it very simple for you. And I was going to do a slide on myths, but I think the presentation was getting a bit long, so I didn't. But essentially, this is not about just giving yourself a nice bath or buying a bottle of wine or eating a piece of cake. All that stuff can happen, but it's about the intention that you come with towards self-love. So if you're actually diabetic or not meant to eat sugar and you're like, I'm going to treat myself and eat a piece of cake, then that's not very self-loving. So we need to really look at which place we're coming from when it comes to self-love. This workshop and this work, especially this container that I'm going to be introducing to you, is for you, is if you're curious about what authentic self-love looks like and feels like, you're ready to start honoring and loving yourself, you're open to the way you see your world right now being challenged, you have a rough idea about what self-love looks like, but you're unable to build a sustainable practice, you want to learn how to set boundaries and care for yourself in the same way you care for others, you see the value and necessity in this day and age, and being a woman, of being compassionate and accepting towards yourself, you long for community and connection with like-minded women, and you're ready to commit or recommit. I think self-love is actually like recommitting to the process of self-discovery every single day. It's not just like a destination where you're like, okay, I have reached self-love now, I am done. It is a recommitting to yourself every day. Similar to, I would say, how if you're in a relationship, you are committing to that person and recommitting every day for the rest of your life if you choose. So why is cultivating self-love? I needed to do a slide on this because it was like, why is it so important right now? The pandemic has really been a spanner in the works for a lot of us. And it's caused us to slow down and ask questions about everything. It's been awesome, actually, because I've noticed that in the pandemic, so many people that were never questioning the relationship themselves and even looking at it have started to do that. They're just like, oh my God, because guess what? You're always going to be like, wherever you go, there you are. So if in times of crisis, we need to know what we can rely on. If we don't know who we are or have a healthy relationship with ourselves, we don't know it, but everything feels hard. And I think the root cause of that is our relationship with ourselves. So the reason that this is so important right now is because it teaches you how to deal with the root cause of our problems rather than address the symptoms. Most of us are feeling a call to invest time and resources. Many of us haven't taken a holiday in ages, which is good news for people like me, because it means you're going to actually invest in yourself and start loving yourself more. And you know, we do have time now more than we had before if we choose to spend it on this. And we have enough research now to know that the trauma we faced during our childhood sets the tone for how we experience life as adults. Healing our childhood wounds and learning self-love are the only true way to progress in life. That is my way of being grounded in fulfillment and goodness in our lives. And with restrictions on travel and meeting in person, I think as we get older, it's hard. I've heard this, and I think I've experienced is that it's harder and harder to build relationships with new friends. So if you're wanting like a community of new like-minded souls that you're on this path of self-love with, you can't really find that at a bar or at a party. I mean, you could, but with an intentional space like this, you actually get to build that because everybody here is on the same similar journey as you, regardless of what age you are. I think if you're all there for a similar intention, it's really powerful. So we get to kind of, build these connections and meet people who truly get us, which is, I would say, the main reason why I do this, because I get to meet really awesome people like you. So let's get into it. What is self-love? I would love for a couple of people to share, and I would like you guys to just unmute yourself if you are comfortable with that. Unmute yourself and please share with me what your definition of self-love is.
I think to focus on yourself and your needs every day or every moment.
Mm-hmm.
Me, it's an understanding of myself and then an acceptance of that, no matter what comes forward.
Yes, I'm loving your answers. Oh my God. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I feel it is accepting whoever you are, not just your good, but also your flaws, and
Yes.
highlighting those and just living with it.
Yes, 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 yes to all of it. Anybody else want to share?
Hi.
Hi.
I've been doing this self-love bit for a little bit, maybe like 6 months, and every time it shows up for me as a need to slow down and to really listen and pay attention. It just always feels like I'm on overdrive, overdue, or like always so external, like just sit down and just listen to how I feel and my emotions is what the journey of self-love has meant to me until now.
Beautiful. Wow. I see so many commonalities between what everybody's sharing, and yeah, it's actually all of those things. I completely agree with all of you. And I would love to tell you, expand on those definitions and tell you what it means to me as well. Oh, I think I lost you guys. Okay. Cool. So, what is self-love? So I like to break down self-love into two integral parts. Just to make it really, really easy, I'm going to give you a metaphor as well. So first, I want to tell you about the two parts. The first is, it is the discovery of the self. So who is the self, right? And the application of love, acceptance, and compassion towards the self. So think about it this way. Imagine that you go plant shopping and you see this really beautiful plant and you pick it up and you bring it home. You first need to know what plant this is, right? If I don't know what plant it is, how am I going to know how much sunlight it needs, how much water it needs? I need to understand what I'm actually taking care of. And I found that most of us, if we don't actually know who we are and who we're dealing with, to try and apply love towards us is harder. It took everything out of me to try and be self-loving when I didn't even know who I was trying to love. There was like a disconnect there. So if you know the plant you're taking care of, you know what to actually flower it with, you know how to nurture it. So the first part, which is discovery of the self, is basically the process of uncovering who you are and establishing a solid sense of self. Now, why this is important, as I said, is because we want to know who we're trying to love. We need to get to know ourselves intimately so we actually know who we're directing this love towards. Now, self-love asks us to be loving towards all parts of us. And I think a few of you said this, not just the parts we like and prefer, not the parts that are convenient, but it's everything. Self-love is inclusive. And what I've noticed in my experience, actually, with myself and whoever comes to anything self-love that I run, is that those who gravitate towards the path of self-love, they actually come often from codependent childhoods, where the self wasn't actually clearly defined. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I mean by that. So I want you to think of it as when we are kids, we're exploring our worlds, and we're very curious about everything. We're picking things up and we're like, oh, maybe I'll draw, or maybe I'll paint, or maybe I'll sing. And we're just experimenting, right? We're playing. And what we need is for our caregivers to create the type of environment where we can safely explore who we are, including our passions, our needs, our likes and dislikes. And this process helps us uncover authenticity. And this is how we end up building a solid sense of self. So one of the things I noticed when I was on my journey to self-love was, what do people who love themselves have in common? And what I noticed was that they knew who they were. They knew what they liked and disliked. They had an idea of their passions. They had an idea of what they needed. They had an idea of how they felt. And the difference between them and me was that because I grew up from a codependent childhood, it meant that my likes and my dislikes were not fully developed because who I was a reflection of my parents. And I was often trying to be who they needed me to be. So I kind of really disconnected from who I really was. What did I really need? Yeah, so I didn't have a solid sense of self. So most of us didn't actually receive that type of conscious parenting. We saw that our caregivers, they liked certain qualities in us and they discouraged certain qualities due to their own trauma, due to their own unconscious parenting. They looked at parts of us. So for example, if I displayed anger as a child and, my mom or dad would say, no, girls don't get angry. You have to be well behaved. You have to be poised and you have to be put together. So then I grew up feeling like I need to be the good girl. I need to be the kind of girl who, people look at me and they go, oh, she's so calm. She never gets angry. Doesn't mean that I never get angry. It's that I've just disassociated from that part of myself. Yeah, so I lost touch with that authentic expression of mine and it becomes quite distorted. And as kids, we do anything to maintain this connection and gain love and approval from our parents, even if it means disowning what we like or dislike to actually maintain that closeness. Is all of that making sense so far? Give me a thumbs up if it is. Wasn't so cool seeing you all give a thumbs up like that. So when we come from such childhoods, we feel completely disconnected from who we are and our wants, needs, emotions, and desires. And this is why we adopt behaviors such as people-pleasing, overgiving, putting others' needs before our own, low self-esteem, and abandoning who we are and what we want as adults. Hands up if you can relate to that. Do you guys relate to this kind of upbringing? Has this been a common thing for a lot of you? Yeah. Good to know that my assumptions are correct. It would be quite awkward if you guys are like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. So if you've spent, I just want to reassure you that if you spent too long living for others and are often the person everybody leaned on for support, it makes sense that you're here. Because disassociating and disconnecting from our authenticity was the safest way to get your needs met. I wanted to show you some of the common signs of being disconnected from our sense of self, and I just want you to pop in the chat box if any of these resonate. I don't know what I like or dislike. I'm unsure of my life purpose. I don't know how to take care of my emotions. I'm like a chameleon. I adapt very quickly to my environment. and be who others need me to be. I'm unaware of my needs. I'm not quite sure what they are. I put others and their needs before mine. I'm a people pleaser, and I'm living life on autopilot. Yep. Some chameleons, some people pleasers, putting others' needs before my own. Yep. Living life on autopilot. Yep. Unsure of life purpose. I'm a chameleon. Adapt very quickly. Yep. 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 Thank you, thank you. Thank you guys for being so vulnerable. I know it's really vulnerable to own this stuff and actually just like admit it. So just want to say thank you for trusting me and feeling safe to do that. That's really great, because we need to be honest about where we're at in order to move from there, in order to, you know, experience something different. So beginning the process of self-love requires us to build our sense of self. This includes inquiring into our needs, wants, desires, and emotions, and getting intimate with our own experience. This is all about building self-intimacy. The second step is application of love towards the self. Now, once we have an inkling of who we are, we must learn how to actually apply the lens of love, compassion, and kindness towards the self. We're in the process of discovering. So exactly what Bianca said, it's as you discover who you are, it's about applying love and acceptance and compassion towards whatever arises. It's like this kind of unconditional love that, let's be honest, most of us didn't experience growing up because of, I think it's very hard in our parents' day and age to have loved us in that way, because they didn't have the tools and the books and the knowledge and the people there to help us to help with their parenting. But now we know that when you are unconditionally present with your child and you are literally showering them with acceptance, with anything that arises, they grow up to be very strong adults with high self-esteem. So the invitation here is to lovingly hold yourself in this positive regard, regardless of what you uncover. Like literally, like a plant, if it starts to get rotten, you don't start yelling at it. You go, oh, I wonder what's going on here. Let me find out, you know, and does it need more sun? Does it need more water? So yeah, try and treat yourselves like a plant, basically. And both steps of self-love are equally important. Self-love lies in the act of finding approval for ourselves and committing to the chapter of our lives where we can continuously uncover who we are. And this is exactly what the 6 steps of self-love and the program I'm going to introduce to you at the end is going to help you do. So I got you if you're wondering, how do I do that? So 6 steps to self-love. This is an invitation to self-discovery. This is really why we're here. We're discovering ourselves, and we're going to learn how to shower love and acceptance and compassion towards what we uncover. The first step is self-awareness. This is your invitation to get to know yourself intimately. I don't know if you've, know about intimacy with another human, but this is about actually directing it towards yourself. And that's the first step. As I said, the self consists of thoughts, emotions, sensations, memories, beliefs, likes, dislikes. Like, think about the self. It's got so many things, and these things are waiting to be discovered by you. And the funny part here is that even if you think you know who you think you are is based on what others normally needed you to be. So doing this step is important regardless of how self-aware you think you are. Like, I'm going to be practicing this for the rest of my life because I don't know what I don't know. So it's the act of observing who you are with non-judgment and becoming aware of the self. And you can do this through many means: observing your breath, your thoughts, and your sensations, through guided meditations, breath work, and the most important, working with somebody in a safe container to build that self-awareness so that they can look at the things that you can't see and go, hey, have you noticed this about yourself? Now, with each step that I tell you about, I'm going to be giving you some questions for self-reflection. There's a few questions, but I want you guys to just pick one. Pick one question to answer for each one today. And I'm going to give you a minute to answer these. So your questions for reflection here, so you can start to cultivate this, is: who am I? How would I define my relationship to myself? How do I treat myself when I get something wrong? And how critical am I on a scale from 1 to 10? So pick one of these And let's give you guys a minute to write down your answer. In fact, if you want to answer us in the chat box, I would love that. Or if you want to answer on your own piece of paper, that's fine too. In the as we're being vulnerable and sharing, it would be awesome if you guys can answer it in the chat box. Because also I think it really helps us to see that we're not alone in this. You know, we're all actually really similar, going through really similar stuff. Rachel says, I'm definitely highly critical of myself. I'm very good at convincing myself. This is just having high standards. Oh my God, yes. See that perfectionist tendency coming through? Oh, Rimsha, yes. So 10 being the most and 1 being the least. Yeah. Oh, this criticism is just literally adapted from what we've learned from the people around us. Yeah. Yep. Yep. See a lot of analyzing and judging and wishing we'd done better. Yep. This thing of like, I can't get it right. That can be so paralyzing. Don't give myself enough time off. Yep. Self-critical towards myself. Yep. All right, ladies, you can keep answering and I'm going to move on to the next slide. The next one is self-inquiry. This is your invitation to explore your inner world with curiosity. Now, this is about gently examining your inner world. Like I said, your inner world consists of so many things. And it's similar to, when you meet someone new, like a friend or a relationship, you're curious, you get to know them. And that's really the invitation here is, can we get to know ourselves through that same lens of, wanting to build that connection? And we're also inquiring into why we are the way we are. We didn't come into this world not feeling good enough and feeling inadequate and critical. We learned this. So let's inquire, let's ask those harder questions of why are we the way we are? And this is where you gain a deeper understanding of the consequences of your behaviors. So if you continue to be critical, what is the consequence here? And this is where you can assess whether that aligns with who you want to be and where you want to go in life. I want you to really picture, if you're critical like this for the rest of your life, does that seem worth it to you? Does it seem worth it to you to keep living this way? Because this is the only way we can get ourselves out of this comfort zone of these behaviors we've learned. And ask you to be radically honest. Assess those unloving behaviors and coping mechanisms so that we can progress into a state of genuine love and appreciation for ourselves. So our questions over here for reflection are, what is my relationship to my emotions? How did my parents respond to me when I displayed emotions such as sadness or anger? Do I see any similarities between the way they responded to me and how I respond to myself now? Do I feel connected to my body? Do I give myself space to feel my emotions and honor my experience? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident am I in feeling my emotions? I think for this one, let's all answer the last one. How confident am I in feeling my emotions? And let's just put our numbers in the chat box, 10 being the most. Oh, amazing. I love all your answers and we'll go through those. Alice says, relationship to myself. Sometimes I feel temperamental and easy to love and accept the parts that I like about myself. I start to develop and learn the parts of myself I used to view as bad and wrong. Bianca still answering, who am I? Yes, it's going to be a question for the rest of our lives. More feeling of wholeness and joy. Yep. Yes, exactly. How often do you disconnect with your sense of self as you go about your day? Your true self. Jackie gets stuck in being wrong. Jill says, when I get something wrong, I feel really shameful, really upset, insensitive. Yep. So she has the freeze response when someone makes a joke or hints that she's done something incorrect. Yeah. So 10 being the most confident, 1 being the least. Good of you guys to be honest. Yeah. Beautiful, Alice. If you guys actually want a copy of these questions as well, at the end you'll have a chance to let me know. And of course, I would highly recommend that you answer these because they're really going to give you a lot of insight. And I wish that I could just sit here and answer them all with you guys, but then we'll be on here for like 4 hours, and that's a lot of time for online work. It's different when you're in person. So, self-compassion, I love this one. This is the invitation to lovingly hold and embrace what comes up. So once you've started to become more self-aware and begun the process of self-inquiry, when you do that, your entire being feels safe to reveal your childhood wounds. It feels safe to reveal stuff from your past. This is where the wounds and the trauma will start showing up more. And that's a good sign. And that's why it's important for you when you're doing this kind of work to be held in a container, because as it arises, you want to know that you're supported. And you know what's really funny? That when I know that I have a session booked and I'm part of a container, my body has revealed and my mind has revealed more stuff to me because it knows I have space to handle it. But if I'm just going about my day and I have like a practice in the morning, it doesn't reveal as much to me because it's like in my mind, it's like, well, Sanya's got all this stuff to do throughout the day. You know, why would I actually reveal this stuff to her? And that's where the gold lies. That's what we need to actually resolve. So it's really nice to have a dedicated space to do this. Being patient and treating ourselves with compassion is extremely important. This stage is applying the lens of compassion to our wounds and building a relationship with and reparenting our inner child, my favorite, in exactly the way she needs to start to feel safe. And this involves actively changing our inner dialogue with ourselves. And I know a lot of you have that that we're working on in our one-on-ones, where there's changing that inner dialogue. Also really healing to work with somebody, because you'll be able to, when they're compassionate towards you, you kind of learn how to do that for yourself. You know, this is why the therapeutic model is so rewarding, because you literally get an experience of what you need to be doing for yourself, which is similar to when you're a baby and your mom is soothing you or a caregiver is soothing you, then you then learn how to do it for yourself. So our questions for reflection here are: what does compassion mean to me? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much compassion and kindness do I show myself on a daily basis? Do I find it easier to be compassionate towards others? What do I believe will make me worthy and deserving of self-compassion? And how can I be even 5% more compassionate towards myself? For this one, let us look at number 4. What do I believe will make me worthy and deserving of self-compassion? Because I think a lot of us have this idea of, you know, easily being compassionate towards our friends, but not being able to direct that same lens towards ourselves. Okie dokie. As I said, you will definitely have space to do these after as well. Jackie says, being honest towards myself and just developing an understanding of who I am. Sandra says, finding the source of love within myself and everyone. Oh, I love that, Sandra. By accepting my flaws and not trying to get rid of them. Yes. Trusting myself, sitting with my emotions and being there. Feeling empathy. Do you guys just look at this? Look at how much you need in order to start being compassionate. This is crazy. Like what we're saying is that we're only going to be compassionate after we do this. And that's not what we need here. We need to do this before. And that's what the invitation here is. You know, can I be compassionate towards myself before I learn all these things about myself, before I start to believe I'm worthy and deserving, before I start to, you know, honor my needs? Can I actually do this now before that? And you know what's funny is if you start to do this, all the stuff that you're wanting will happen. Self-acceptance. Oh, big one. How do I find approval and acceptance for myself and my past? So this is about finding approval for ourselves just the way we are. And I'll tell you what, this is definitely a process. And I do this a lot in my work with my clients. It's something I do called parts work, where we are able to look at all the various parts of ourselves, and something that I do in the program that I'm going to be telling you about at the end, where we look at all the various parts of ourselves that we have disidentified with and rejected and pushed away, and we bring them closer and we find approval for them. And we first need to identify what we're unaccepting of, and only then can we do this. And we need to find the value in those things. You know, the reason that we find these parts of ourselves unacceptable is because they weren't valued by the people around us. So for example, you know, if I'm the kind of person who loves to relax, but my mom and dad don't see that as lazy, they're not going to value the fact that I like to relax, and they're going to start seeing me as lazy, and I'm going to want to not relax as I get older. I would have disassociated from that part of myself and gone, being lazy is wrong, it's bad, and rejected that. And I'm always like doing things because people around me told me that wasn't valued, right? And I needed close connection with them. So as I said, we find it hard to accept those qualities in ourselves that are met with disapproval from our caregivers. Self-love requires us to learn radical acceptance for that, and we can do this through shadow work. Ultimately, it's not what actually happened, but rather understanding of what happens that leads to our childhood wounds healing and cultivating self-love. Question for reflection. What traits do my caregivers and society seek to praise in me? What traits, qualities were unacceptable? What parts of myself do I dislike, disapprove of as an adult? Where did I learn that those parts were bad or unwelcome? And what would happen if I was to accept myself unconditionally? So for this one, let's look at number 4. What would happen if I actually was to accept myself unconditionally? If I was to say yes to every flaw, every criticism that came up, and I was like, yes, I choose you. I see your value. What would be different in our lives as a result of that? I feel like Wonder Woman. I know. Maybe we would start, you know, really valuing ourselves as the way we value others. Maybe we would become our own source of validation. Maybe we would see that. Jill says I would be more honest with people around me. I'd be more authentic. Wouldn't get myself into trouble where I overpromise and underdeliver. I'll live more authentically. Let the parts I've intentionally dimmed shine. Oh, be less focused on external validation. Find freedom. Beautiful, Bianca. I'm always celebrating you and how far you've come. A different woman today. I'd be saying yes to myself and holding myself as my own best friend. Yes. Life would be easier. Oh yeah. Stand up for yourself. Yes. Excellent. I'm just loving these answers. Oh my God. Self-responsibility is the next one. And this is a big one, guys. Well, they're all really big, as you can see, but they're very, what's really cool about these is that when you start practicing these, like, they can be applied to basically anything in your life. It's not like you don't enter a phase, you're like, oh my God, today I'm going to be self-responsible. It's Everything that you do, you can bring this into. So it's about you becoming the CEO of your life, taking full ownership for your life and your happiness, because no one's going to hand it to you. No one is going to give you a pill and go, yep, cool, you love yourself now. No one's going to, do anything to help you feel that sense of appreciation for yourself and to become your own source of validation. Taking responsibility for our wants, needs, emotions, desires, boundaries is in our hands. It is our responsibility. And it asks that you're honest with yourself about what you know and don't know, and ask for help. Women have a really tough time asking for help. It's like one of the biggest wounds, right? To actually like feel deserving. And it's so funny because so many of you that are my clients on here, I remember even us starting our work together was such a big deal because it was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be doing this for myself, and I'm asking for help, and this is such a big deal that I'm even here. This is about you committing to a chapter of your life where you learn how to cultivate self-love. It's an integral part of you being human. And the only reason that it could feel a little bit strange now is because society had it wrong. If we had been taught this from day one, we would think this is normal, like studying maths and accounting. We would have, studied this throughout high school and throughout school, and this would be normal for you. And that's why it feels strange to actually dedicate time to personal development, dedicate funds towards personal development, because it's just not normal. It's normal to pay rent, it's normal to buy groceries, but it's not normal to look after your mind and your heart and your emotions. So if it was normalized, it would be a lot easier for everybody, but because it's not, I expect you guys to actually feel resistance or fear when you're about to do something like this, because yeah, it wasn't conditioned into us, right? So this will mean developing your sense of self, healing your childhood wounds, feeling and validating your emotions, learning what a yes and no feels like in your body, expressing your needs, honoring your boundaries, and uncovering your authenticity, all of which we're going to be doing in the program. Cool. Questions. Scale 1 to 10. How committed am I to my self-discovery today? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important do I consider the process of self-love to be in my life right now? How confident do I feel in my ability to learn this skill of self-love? Am I ready to take charge of my life? And what support am I most needing right now? So for this one, let's do number 2. How important do you consider the process of self-love to be in your life right now? 10 being the most, 1 being the least. And be really honest. Oh my God. You guys are really crazy. Like 10s, really? Thank you for your honesty, Krista and Alice and Maria. And this is the thing, right? When we come to workshops like these and we hear about all the potentials of learning self-love in this medicine, we're so inspired and we're like, oh my God, yes, it's so important to me. So great. Heal. So what I want you guys to know about, which I said before, is it's a moment-by-moment decision. It's the first and most important chapter of your life to commit to in order to experience fulfillment within your being. And I think that a lot of you who are already on this journey will agree with me. The last step is self-expression. This one is probably, I keep saying that it's my favorite because they're kind of all my favorite, but this one I love a lot because this is where you get to really reap the rewards of self-love. You've kind of started to connect with yourself more. You're uncovering who you are. You're building your capacity to feel your emotions, and you're connecting with yourself deeply. Now you get to actually bring this to your relationships. You get to express this authenticity to others and be met with it. I know that for a lot of women in this group itself that have done this, they've actually, ended up changing their jobs. They've ended up reconsidering so many aspects of their lives that have led to sort of more positively geared careers, because it's meant that they've gone after what they actually wanted because they were able to come from a more authentic place. So as you uncover who you are, the universe actually meets you there. If you don't know who you are, you keep running across the same stuff repeatedly. This means giving ourselves permission to express ourselves, bring more authenticity in our lives, and feel comfortable in standing in our power. It's best practice in relationships, this part, so that's why I love it. That's what I love about it. Self-love is, yeah, it's with the self, but it's about being able to practice that. Relationships are a mirror. That's where you really learn. Like, I did all this work on self-love, and then I'd talk to my partner, and he's able to tell me the changes he sees in me. My friends are able to notice it, my family, but if I'm just standing in front of a mirror myself, yeah, I can notice it, but this is where I really get to experience it, right? Cool. So, questions for reflection. How vulnerable am I with others? I tell myself that, fill in the blanks, but the truth is that. I pretend that, but the truth is that. A scale of 1 to 10, how authentic am I in my relationships? Knowing what I now know about self-love, what are some practical steps I'm ready to take to transform my relationship with myself? What is revealing itself to be the most important next step for me right now? So let's do the last one, because this will help you guys take this learning and take these learnings and actually progress into the next stage in your day-to-day lives. What is the most important next step for everybody from here? Sandra says, understanding myself. Jackie says, to get to know myself intimately. Alice says, mixture, still knowing myself. Sit with myself, stand up for when someone puts me down. Yes. Persevering with self-love. Yep, being accepting and compassion, creativity and power, self-responsibility. Yes. To cultivate a routine that includes a step of self-love every day. Yes, Jill. Continue to prioritize self-love, make conscious effort every day to show up more authentically. Look at who I am, says Sanya. Yeah, it does require us to be conscious, and that's why a lot of us don't actually end up, a huge majority of people come out of these workshops not really taking any action, because our mind loves the comfort zone. So to think of like a billion excuses to stay where we are. It's all of us. I'm like that. Everyone is designed that way. So we will always think of 1,000 reasons to not be conscious and not, do the practices and be there for ourselves, because it's just easier to stay in the comfort zone. Getting out of the comfort zone is going into the unknown, and the unknown is really where the mind doesn't really have a say. It kind of loses control a little bit because the unknown is in the body. So what I wanted to note here is that these steps aren't linear. So don't think of it like, oh, when I do number 1, then I can do number 2, then I can do number 3. Yes, I've put them in steps, but they don't come one after each other. When we make a commitment to learn the art of self-love, each of these steps are practiced in conjunction with another. So all of these make up self-love. So at any given time, I can be taking self-responsibility while being compassionate. At any time, while I'm being compassionate, I'm also self-aware. So all of these actually, they're kind of part of the same mix, the same recipe of self-love. And as I said, it's a moment by moment decision. With each new discovery you make about yourself, you get to practice self-compassion, self-acceptance, and build awareness about who you are. So what happens when you practice these steps and make a commitment to be self-loving? This is all the good news, guys. When you actually make a commitment to be self-loving, what happens? We stop seeking external validation and become our own source of validation. So we don't need to hear from others that we're doing a good job as often. We don't need to hear from others, that we're beautiful. We start to develop that inner best friend who is able to have our backs and say that to us. Doesn't mean you're going to stop wanting it from others. It's okay to want that, but if you want that from others, they're not giving it to you, but you don't know how to give it to yourself. This is where self-love is really helpful. Befriending our inner, yeah.
Hi, I'm just wondering, this 6 boxes with information of when you, reach self-love.
Practice self-love.
I think they're fantastic. Can we have a copy of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the page, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks fantastic, and it really makes you mindful of what you can become.
It sure does, yeah.
So I think it's great.
Awesome. Most definitely. I'll open the floor to you guys providing me whether you guys want access to this at the end, and we'll work it out from there. yeah, befriending our inner critic and changing our internal narrative, expressing our needs and wants with ease and clarity, feeling a deeper sense of fulfillment and acceptance for who we are as we are, a deeper sense of security and confidence that's rooted in self-worth, and feeling safe to bring our unique flavor and authenticity to our relationships. Cool. Self-love is medicine. It's the soothing balm we apply to our wounds and our daily experiences that give us the reassurance that we have our backs no matter what. Now, what I'm really curious about is, actually, I wanna sum this up first. This is basically my summary of what my definition of self-love is and what I teach, essentially. Discovering the self, who am I? Learning how to lovingly hold whatever arises, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and becoming the loving parent to all parts of ourselves. And I'm really curious to hear from you guys. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you guys feel in your ability to cultivate self-love based on what I've taught you today? 10 being the most, 1 being the least. Amazing. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. Ranging from like a 4 to like a 9. Oof, yes. 10. Yes. Incredible. That's really, really good to know. Thank you, Sandra. So let's all take a deep breath in. Just, I'm gonna do that as well. Lots of talking, sweating a little bit. Have a little bit of a stretch. So I want to run through a few things with you, and I will be needing an extra 10 to 15 minutes. Anybody here need to clock off earlier? Everybody's good? Awesome. If you do, you'll get the recording anyway, so that's fine. So you might be wondering, all right, so Sanya, I understand what it is. Now, turning what we've learned and actually making it practical and into experience is a whole other ball game, as you guys know. Yeah, when we talk about things, it's one thing, but to actually practice things and actively live into this experience is a completely different ball game. So that is what I want to talk to you guys about next, because I think I've been to many workshops where I've attended and had a really awesome experience. I kind of feel like I go back into the world, and sometimes I almost forget in a couple of days because I'm back into my own way of doing things. Who has experienced that before? Because it's obviously like, we get a concentrated amount of information and inspiration from others, but yeah, we've got to practice it. There's really no easy way to do it other than practice self-love. And I've experienced it as well, many a times. So what I want to do is I want to share a snippet with you guys of what's possible beyond this workshop. And what I want you to really keep in mind is if you have resonated with, hold on 1 second. All good, Rimsha. Love you. Take care. If you guys have resonated with the approach that I've got to self-love, which is, as I said, very hands-on, very practical, and rooted in my experience, and you've resonated with my style and my energy, I would just like you guys to keep that in mind as I introduce this container to you, as I introduce what's possible beyond this workshop. So what I want to do is personally invite you, and some of you have already done this program, and a lot of you in this group are already doing this program, which is awesome. I want to personally invite you into the Sovereign Woman. And this is literally my version of everything that I've learned over the last 29 years that has to do with self-love. And it's about helping you uncover your authenticity, find radical acceptance for yourself, and make building self-compassion a daily part of your life. And it's designed specifically with you ladies in mind. And if you resonate with my experience, feel safe in my container, excited about learning this and how to love and accept yourself, then this is for you. It will radically change the way you view, talk, and relate to yourself. Bye, Sanya. All good. Have fun at work. So I want to tell you a little bit about it. And this is where I actually invite you, whenever I hear about something that I'm potentially interested in, I really pay attention to how my body feels. So does my body feel expansive, or does it feel open, or does it feel quite restrictive when I hear something? And that's really a great sign of whether you're open and your body's feeling like yes to something. So what this entails is 12 weeks of intuitive mentorship, group coaching and counseling, and self-loving daily practices to help you completely transform your relationship to yourself. We're going to be focusing on 3 main important pillars, which is community, authenticity, and passionate self-love. We're going to be meeting in a sacred space just like this one for 12 weeks. You'll be taught how to express yourself, meet your needs, build self-loving habits, feel your emotions, and just learn how to show up more authentically in your life. And honestly, the main benefit of this is that you have a dedicated space where you're held accountable for this. Like I said, we go back to our lives, and it's harder for some people to actually create space for this on a daily basis, because obviously it's hard. Like I myself have found that when I've been in containers, it's easier than when I do it myself. And it's not saying that you can't do this on your own, because you absolutely can. This just gives you that really concentrated space to dedicate to yourself. It's just like a massive act of self-love towards yourself. And it is the most secure space to unpack your past, lay down your struggles, and your challenges with unconditional love. And often models the kind of experience we long for in our day-to-day lives. You know, when you're met with unconditional acceptance, it becomes more accessible to you in other areas of your life. And it helps us feel safe. And through the partnership, we're shown that we're not too much and that others can be without pain. You're going to have people witnessing you in your experience. And this increases our own capacity to be with our own discomfort. Everybody there is such a wonderful teacher. So this is your invitation to actually experience self-love and coming into your authentic power by being held and supported by me and the other wonderful women that are just going to be mirrors for you. And it's very exciting. We're starting on the 31st of March with an opening ceremony. If you're in Melbourne, it'll be in person. And if you're not in Melbourne, then it'll be online for you. Oh, Alejandra's going to work. Okay, got it. Hi, Sanya. Good to know. So what I want to say is that we discover ourselves and what we need in relation to others. So a lot of what we've experienced in our childhoods was established through relationship, right? Through relationship with our caregivers, through relationship with society. So doing this work in a group is extremely rewarding, because that is where we formed most of our wounding. So this gives us a chance to actually resolve and heal and bring love and compassion to some of those wounds and some of those tendencies that we have of people pleasing or being overgiving or being critical. And also a lot of us have grown up with the sisterhood wound, which is this idea of, you know, watching other women succeed. How do we feel about that? Are we able to hold them in that? And we get to really share that with the women that are in this group, as we get to heal that as a collective, which is really beautiful. I want to say to you guys that you are worthy of support. This is just a reminder. And the women who participate in my programs experience immense transformation and shifts. And it all starts with making a commitment to yourself, because from that place of wholeness, anything is possible. So if you have, say, you know, right now you're focused on external goals, when you work on your relationship with yourself and you build that, then it's easier and it's more effortless to launch a business, thrive in your relationships, and feel deserving of all the goodness that's rightfully yours. Because if you don't feel like you're deserving of goodness, regardless of whatever external goal you go after, there'll always be that self-doubt. So this is really why this is very foundational. You guys with me so far? Nodding, if you are. Awesome. All right, so we're going to integrate our learnings now. I've done a lot of talking, so I'm really keen to get involved in this little meditation with you guys as well. We're going to integrate our learnings, and then we're going to wrap up with a special gift I have for you in a Q&A at the end. So I just want to invite you guys to close your eyes. Let's just get really comfortable. Not long to go. Comfortable in your seats. I like to keep my feet flat on the floor and gently close your eyes. Let's start off by taking a few cleansing deep breaths in. So this is just the process of breathing in through your mouth and breathing out. I want you to take 5 rounds of these cleansing breaths, and just coming into your body, feeling yourself relax with each breath in and out. This is a space for you to integrate the information. Notice what's landing. Notice if anything has come up for your attention, your love, and your care. With each breath out, releasing what's no longer serving you. With each breath in, breathing in, presence of this moment. The energy of this group, the fantastic and loving energy of everyone here. All you beautiful ladies who've shown up. It's an act of love and commitment to yourself. I'm just so in awe of you right now. And I invite you to picture getting on an elevator at the top of your head. Top of your head, right at the top. Imagine where your mind is, and now you're getting on this elevator. It's traveling down, 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 down from your head and into your body, into your heart space. This is you coming into your heart. And just noticing what's alive for you in your heart right now. Just noticing, no judgment, only curiosity. And I just want you to imagine that today your heart has made an internal decision to do something brave, to do something different. That there is a little snippet, a little small part of you that is so courageous. And just picture this small, courageous, brave girl inside of you, brave woman inside of you, as a light, shining as a small golden light. And picture this light getting bigger and bigger, emanating from the center of your heart. This courage is just expanding, bigger and bigger. And this courage signifies you walking away today, doing something you've never done before, doing something different, making a different choice. A choice to actually feel worthy and deserving of putting yourself first, turning that lens inwards and going, yes, oh, I've been waiting for you my whole life. I've been waiting for you to love me. And picture this courage, this courageous part of you 12 months from now, 12 months from now, as she's taken different action today, today she has decided to do something brave, to make self-love an important aspect of her life, to commit to this. It's okay if all of you is not in that. All it requires is this tiny, courageous aspect of you who sees the value in this, in being self-loving. And imagine this courageous part 12 months from now. Picture this woman standing in her radiance and her sovereignty. She's looking so genuinely happy. She's just looking at herself in the mirror and going, oh my goodness, I had no idea that this would happen in my life. I had no idea that I could feel such genuine appreciation for who I am. I had no idea that I could have my back. What is she feeling? Just allow this version of you to crystallize in the mirror. What is she feeling? What is she doing? What does she see around her? All she did was make a decision today to do something different. I want you to notice and feel the effects of that 12 months from now. She's so done looking outwards for love all the time. She is so done believing the voice in her head that says, I don't know if you're good enough for that. Instead, she feels full. She feels more whole. She's okay with her imperfections. She's okay with the so-called flaws. She has a really solid community around her, of women who love and support her, who she can be authentic with. Everything is transforming for her. She's on the precipice of the most beautiful change and expansion. This all started with one single decision that she made today. She realized she had nothing to lose. Now taking a deep breath in, letting this version of you crystallize, this version of you who took a leap of faith, and just watch her crystallize, become clearer, come closer to you. And as she comes closer to you, you see that she has a message for you. She comes up to you, comes up to your ears and whispers a message in your ear. Something she wants you to know, because she's done the work. She's made that decision and she wants you to know something. I want you to open your heart and receive her message. Receive her message fully. And smile to yourself in appreciation for this courageous part of you, this loving part of you. And as you acknowledge that, picture yourself embracing her. And as you guys hug, picture yourself becoming one. Putting one hand on your heart. I want you to thank yourself for being here today, for dedicating 2 hours of your weekend on a Saturday to self-love, to trusting, if you don't know me, trusting that by showing up here, it would act as a catalyst for change, for accepting the invitation, for allowing the universe to show you what you needed to know. I want you to say to yourself, I am worthy of this. I am worthy of this care. I am worthy of love. And even if I don't know how yet, I am willing to learn. And I invite you to just bring this message that she's given you back with you today. Take a deep breath in. Let's bring this courageous part back to our space. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Welcome back, everybody. See a few tears being shed. Oh, warms my heart. So thank you for allowing yourself to be guided in that. Can really feel all of your energy in this right now. Very empathic, so I can really feel your energy right now, and it's making my heart really warm. All right, so I want to go into something exciting for you. You've let me speak about the sovereign woman. You let me guide you towards self-love, and I want to give you a special gift for being here today, because it honestly means so much to me that you're attending today. So because you showed up today with me, I want to give you a gift, and this gift is that you will have a chance to have a one-on-one with me, a private session. I don't do these as one-offs anymore. I only do them as part of 6-month containers. But I believe in sovereign woman so wholeheartedly, and I want to, if it's right for you, want you to be there. So I'm going to offer you a one-on-one with me that you can use anytime in the sovereign woman. And it's the only way you can work with me right now, because I am booked, fully booked. So if you do feel like what I've said to you resonated with you today and you want to explore this with me, what I want to invite you to is take the learnings that you've had today, notice how your body feels, and all I want you to do is tune into that. And if you want to make the most of this offer and actually want this gift, just type in hell yes in the chat box and I will be in touch with you. Or what we'll do is we'll start off with a connection call. That's 45 minutes of you and I just connecting. It's no obligation, no pressure. So even if you're like, I'm not quite sure yet if this is what I want to do, but I want to continue the dialogue, I kind of want to know what my next steps will be, I still suggest that you book this call in, because we can talk about what your challenges are. We can talk about your outcomes that you want to be achieving, the areas that you need most help with, and we can work out a plan for you, whether that be with me or me referring you to somebody else. So it's no obligation, no pressure. You will have the space to just safely explore what's coming up for you. And that's really what I want to offer you today, because I want for you what that courageous part wants for you as well. So just go ahead and type in hell yes in the box, and I'll get Rachel to pop in the link for the connection call in the chat box as well, so you can book this in directly if you need. And if you would like to look at one-on-one work with me and join the wait list, you can also do that. And I can pop that link in. Rachel will put that link inside as well. Thanks for supporting me, Rachel. And yeah, I have blocked out a couple of weeks over the next, yeah, Maria, you can say hell yeah, even if you've done it. Maria's done the Sovereign Woman with me already. I've popped out quite a few spaces over the next couple of weeks for you guys to book in those calls with me. And as I said, you'll just have a chance to explore what's coming up for you, even if it's to work out what your next steps are. I know that itself can be quite a big step, but it's one of those steps that do end up being quite transformational for a lot of people. Those one-on-one sessions are quite transformational in and of themselves.
Sanya, I just want to say that Sovereign Woman was amazing. It was a brilliant journey.
Oh, thank you, Maria.
Self-acceptance and learning so much in, was it 6 weeks?
12 weeks.
12 weeks, that's it.
Mm.
And it was just amazing every week. Every week
Thank you.
was just
Mm.
different,
Mm.
but so knowledgeable, just like today. Yeah.
Thank you, Maria. Absolutely love your feedback, and I really appreciate you sharing that. All right, ladies. Well, I want to leave you with one last question for you to ponder upon, something you can walk away with, which is, what has it cost you to not be self-loving and accepting towards yourself this entire time? What has it cost you? Think about your relationships, think about your career, think about your day-to-day life. What does it cost you to not make yourself a priority? And that's if you haven't been. If you have, amazing job. And I'd love to get you guys to share that. I'm going to open the floor up for questions really soon. So it's been an honor teaching you about the 6 steps to self-love today. If you're curious about my teachings, you can go on my website, you can go on my Instagram, and I am just all about connection. So if you want to connect with me outside of here, I would absolutely love that. Yeah, Jill, she's not self-loving. It costs her a lot of inner peace. Yeah. I've noticed that when I'm not self-loving, it costs me presence. It's like I'm not present anymore with what's happening in my life. Yeah, your joy, exactly. Yeah. So I am going to now open up the floor for questions, and I would actually just love to use the next 10 minutes to connect with you all. So please unmute yourselves if you're comfortable. This is a very important part for me to connect with you if you are open to it. And I'm just going to go around, and I just want to hear what has been your biggest takeaway from this workshop today, and yeah, anything else that you want to share with me. Let's start with you, Krista, beautiful lady.
Hi.
Hi.
My biggest takeaway today was kind of just a reminder of being compassionate to myself and not being so hard on myself when I am just kind of trying to do things that are self-loving. So yeah, because I've just started up my new business now, so I'm kind of focusing everything on that, and the self-love stuff is kind of on the back burner sometimes. So it's good to just be reminded to look after myself.
Awesome. And what do you think you're going to do to look after yourself? What's the promise you want to make to yourself from today?
Just spend more time looking after myself and doing things that are going to kind of nourish me, like looking after myself more and not feeling guilty when I'm not working.
Yes, a big one. Yeah. And if you were to learn how to embrace that guilt and be with that guilt, then that guilt would show you, it would reveal something to you, reveal more of your personal truth to you, perhaps a boundary that you're violating for yourself or something that you're not letting yourself express. So I just invite you to embrace that emotion and notice what comes up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Alice, hi.
There's two.
Yes, tell me.
You want to go, Alice? Other Alice?
No, you, Alice.
Oh, myself.
Yeah, yes.
So my biggest takeaway, I think, and it was really beautiful hearing from you all as well, it's just the huge similarities, I think, how we all sort of relate to ourselves and, you know, what we're trying to achieve. I think moving forward, it's very interesting to kind of come together with beautiful women, and we do all have those sorts of, similarities and pathways forward. Another one of mine is that it's an active practice. I find it really, really hard to practice this when I'm feeling really self-critical and really negative, but find it a lot easier when I feel good and when I feel positive about myself. And so I think, my biggest takeaway is just to remember, you know, to set aside that time in the day, but also throughout the day, going back to that. And so, you know, as a sort of active process rather than, you know, just limiting it for a specific time.
Yep.
So I think, you know, when I feel good, when I don't feel good, especially when I don't feel good, to kind of incorporate it then.
Yeah, that's when it's most integral, right? It's when we don't feel good, we're more likely to approach ourselves similarly to maybe the way that, you know, our caregivers approached us or people around us approached us when you're emotional. So that's when we have to, yes, that is the most critical time to approach ourselves with love. Yeah. Thank you, Elise.
Hello.
Hi, beautiful.
Hi. I think for me, it's lately I've been feeling like I always listen to, like, when I want to make decision in my life, I have to listen to what people tell me. Oh, you should do this, you should do that. And that made me realize it's a lack of self-love, you know, not following my intuition and having to listen to people, opinion in order for me to make my own decision in life. So and accepting my flaws and embracing them and having time for myself to sit with my emotions.
Oh, that old chestnut.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, beautiful.
Thanks to you.
Jill.
Yeah. Biggest takeaway, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I had a big takeaway that, like, I noticed that each question that you asked, you know, you were like, pick one, and I was like picking it before you were designating it.
Yeah.
And I was always every time you went down the list of the questions and you're reading them, I would read each one, and then one would really make my stomach flip. And I would just be like, I don't want to do that one. So I'm just going to this one sounds nice. I can answer that. You know, I'm going to sound smart in the chat when I answer that, because I got a question fired up, you know. And that was always the question that you had to answer. I was like, how is she fucking doing that? You always do that though for me. Like, literally, you always ask the question I'm the most uncomfortable to answer. So I would say that my takeaway for today is that I realized, like, I think when I feel that flip in my stomach, like, going to be the most beneficial for me.
Yeah.
Because I think, and this is true for like psychology too, is that what creates anxiety is the avoidance of the thing that kind of freaks you out.
Yeah.
And then you actually build a neurological lesson in your mind that, like, you get a quick little reward every time you just run away or avoid that thing. It feels good momentarily, but then you kind of develop like a phobia, right? Of doing things outside your comfort zone. And those are the ones that I got the most out of those questions. So I was like, wow, I really had to think. It wasn't just like a quick, easy win.
Yeah.
It was more rewarding to me because I was like, invented
you went
I had to do something and I came out, I pushed and I jumped and I leapt over the little stream, it was great. So, and I wouldn't have gotten that if I had just played it safe. So, okay, I'll stop talking.
No, that's awesome. That's actually going towards the pain is a massive sign of self-love. That is self-loving. You're being self-loving when you go towards those things that you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to. So that's awesome, Jill. Thank you for sharing.
Cool.
Celeste. Hey.
There we go. Sorry, I was on mute. I think my biggest takeaway has been that self-love, I think, is an ongoing process. There's no finish line, something that you always need to keep practicing. It's not that like, oh, tick that off the list. I'm self-loving now. I'm, going into this world feeling amazing and self-loving towards myself. It's something that, I need to keep practicing, throughout the good and the bad, similar to what some of the other wonderful women have said. So yeah, I think that's probably my biggest takeaway.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much. Sanya, beautiful.
My biggest takeaway is that this is an active process, not something you just like hope is gonna fix itself and by I don't know, having a picnic or doing nice things. Like it's an active lifestyle, I guess.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's my biggest takeaway, and that I really need to figure out who I am first. Like that's a very big step. Like that kind of feels like that underpins everything else. So yeah, those are my takeaways.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Maria?
Just trying to unmute.
Yeah, all good.
Well, two words come to mind, healing and compassion, about the self. And like other people said, it's lifelong. It's not something you do and say, yep, tick that box. It's just ongoing. And I've been practicing with you for a year, but before that I had accepted things like, society, frowning upon people who are overweight and stuff like that. I sort of said, nah, I don't approve of that. I don't buy into that sort of thing. And I'm really happy with myself. With your help and my own help about myself and doing things for myself, self-love is the way to be, really. It's a lot of people out there don't know about it, and I encourage my friends to get involved, because it just brightens up your life. Knowing things that you've heard about, like everyone's heard about self-love, but to actually get that training, you actually actively do something about it.
Yep.
That's it.
Exactly right. It's like I describe it as like, when we went to school and high school and primary, we learned English over and over. We learned maths over and over. And so even self-love is like, you keep learning it over and over until it becomes your regular language. It's just like another thing that a skill that you know. And to cultivate the skill will take time until it becomes second nature to you. And that's why the modules that I do in the Sovereign Woman as well are aimed at building those skills so that you can actually start to make that a regular part of your life. And science says it takes 66 days to build a habit. So to actually build those habits through the practices that I give you will mean that you'll be able to implement that more easily in your life. That it's not an afterthought. It's something that you start your day with. You know that that's something you need to be doing. Jackie.
So for me, the really big one that stood out was, and it always does, is self-inquiry. So like really knowing who you are, your likes and dislikes, but also realizing that that is constantly changing, and allowing your beliefs to change. Like what you believed as a child is maybe not what you believe now, but you think you have to kind of uphold that belief. So just allowing yourself to be fluid and change. And the other massive thing that came to me in the last meditation, which was really strong, it was, I wrote it down, life does not change. It is the relationship that you have with yourself that changes and gives you the illusion that life is different. So I think that's a really big one for me, because I'm realizing that like I'm not now waiting for life to change. It's my relationship with it and with myself that can really make a difference.
Wow, is that what your version of you 12 months from now whispered to you?
Yeah.
What? Can you? That's like such a good quote. What? Can you write that in the chat box so we can all see?
Yeah, of course.
It's great. Thank you for sharing. Bianca.
Hi everyone. Like I've been working with Sanya for a while as well, but like she said, it's very much that practice, and that's why I came to do this today. Because no matter how many times I hear it, there's always something that I get reminded about, or that kind of stands out as something really necessary at this point. And at this point for me, it was going back to who am I? So I've had a fair bit of change recently, and one of the changes is getting a new job. And I'm someone that falls very quickly into, I guess, the labels and the titles. So with this new job, I'm very excited about it. So, I kind of throw myself into it. But yeah, going through things today, I just had that reminder of, but that's just one part of your life, and who you are is so much more beneath that. So yeah, kind of came back to who am I underneath everything.
Awesome. Yeah, that big question that we've asked ourselves so many times. And I think, like Jackie said, it's like it is always going to be changing. Your likes and dislikes as you uncover more and more about yourself. And it's about giving yourself permission as well to keep changing those. Like, as I said, like a child, you're discovering, you're like, oh, what's this? You don't make that set decision. You give yourself flexibility to allow yourself to see what works and what doesn't work. Okay, Priyanka, would you like to share? I don't know if she's here. Are you here, Priyanka? No idea. Okay. Isabel, are you here?
I am, yeah. Can you hear me?
Hi, Isabel.
Hey. I was just with the camera.
Hey. Yay, hello.
Hi.
Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Oh, did she just disappear? All right, cool. She'll probably have back. But all right, ladies, I just want to thank you once again for joining me today. Does anyone have any questions, anything that they want to ask or mention? This is a good time to do it before we head off. Alrighty. Actually, sorry, Rachel, I would love to hear your takeaway. I'm so sorry. I just like went. Rach, please tell us your takeaway.
All is well, all is well. I just feel very honored to be in this space. I think getting to do this for work is something that's really special, and it's quite a gift and a privilege really to have this be the thing that I'm thinking about and working on and constantly ruminating over. And I say that with all of the best connotation. So it it's like becoming more of a day-to-day thing for me than it ever would have otherwise been if this wasn't what I did, but it also was becoming part of what I do, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's definitely more of a habit now. In a good way.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you're reading about self-love all the time now. Awesome. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon and connecting with you all at another time. Thank you, Bianca, for your feedback. You're welcome. All right. Take care.